Hello. We are continuing with our series on 2019, and I am going to talk about the solar eclipses of 2019. When they are, what places they are visible in, and how will they affect us. This is Komilla Sutton, and we will take a personal look at the solar eclipses. And the thing is this, that every year there can be two or three solar eclipses that take place. And in a personal chart, what you have to recognize is that every 8 to 9 years, you will get an eclipse that is connected to your sun, to your moon, or to your ascendant. That means that what the eclipses represent, which is a change or transformation, is something that is quite often that we have. We don't have static lives, lives change and things will happen. And then the eclipse, we have to study the intensity of the eclipse as well, how intense it is to us. So if you're having an eclipse near your birthday, then you know that it is going to be an intense eclipse. Then you have to see, is it visible or not? If it is visible, things are more obvious to you, the change. But if it is not visible, it's not happening in your country where you're living, but it's happening somewhere else, then the eclipse will still affect. And you will need to understand what is the effect and how is it really working with us. So uh, but it's not obvious aspect. Generally, the eclipses were dreaded by the ancients, but remember, they would see the eclipse when it is visible in their own country or in their own home place. So a number of the eclipses were not studied. So it was a much more rarer phenomena. Whereas now, because we know there's eclipse taking place somewhere in the world, we know what it is. But an eclipse itself, nothing happens on the day of the eclipse. It's an omen or an indication that there is going to be some change. So the three things that you should remember that about the eclipse is it taking place close to your moon sign, close to your ascendant, close to your sun sign. So these three things are the key areas that you are going to study the eclipses. And if it is, that means that you are going to be experiencing some change. Generally, what happens is that the solar eclipse takes place at the time of new moon, and it is always near where Rahu or Ketu are placed. So one in 1 year you have one solar eclipse which is close to Rahu and one close to Ketu. So you can have eclipse in opposition, exact opposite times of the year. So right now the eclipses Rahu Ketu are in Rahu is in Cancer, Ketu is in Capricorn. But actually, the next eclipse is going to take place in Gemini, Sagittarius axis. So the sun is in Sagittarius. So it's not a complete eclipse. So first, let me give you the dates of the eclipses. So the three solar eclipses that we are looking at. The first one is 5, 6 of January, 5th if you're in Asia, India, and 6th in USA. The second solar eclipse is on 2nd of July, and the third solar eclipse is on 26th of December. The reason of the three eclipses is because the first eclipse is so close to the new year. Normally, we would have two eclipses. And certain signatures for these eclipses is that in each one of these eclipses, because Ketu is with Saturn, Saturn is featuring very heavily in all the eclipses, and especially the July and December eclipse. In uh, January, also Saturn is with sun. So therefore, Saturn is featuring in all the eclipses. So what we see is that there seems to be some karma that we all need to do. And if we are not doing it correctly and we are not being honest about it and not straightforward, then because Shani's involvement is in the eclipses, it's going to bring some change and transformation. In any eclipse, you have the sun, moon, Rahu, Ketu. They are involved in all the eclipses. So, but it's not that every time in an eclipse it affects Leo or Cancer, but obviously they are the ruling planets, so you feel something. I personally find always the energy around eclipse days a bit strange. I don't feel 100% emotionally up and down. So I have always taken now that when I know the date of the eclipse, I know that's the day I'm going to just take it easy. I'm not going to do anything. Of course, if the eclipse is visible, then the effect is much stronger because you can see the energy. You can actually see the shift of the energy. But when it's invisible, it's happening somewhere else. You're still getting the effect of the eclipse. Then the 2019 eclipses, the two eclipses, July and December, both affecting Sagittarius and Gemini axis. That means those are the two signs of the zodiac. They are facing transformation, change, and usually something unexpected. The eclipse can reveal something, it can bring some aspect out that we are unaware of. But so the first eclipse of 2019 is on 5th, 6th of January. It is going to be visible. It's a partial eclipse. Rahu is quite far away. Normally, Rahu, Ketu have to be within 11 degrees of the sun for it to be a full solar eclipse. So they are a bit far apart. So it's only a partial eclipse. And it is a very interesting eclipse, at least as we think about it politically, because it is going to span the the Pacific Ocean, and it is China, one edge of China and the other side of USA. It's not visible in USA or maybe most of China, and it's going through the Pacific Ocean. So I feel, there's been the trade war with China, and an eclipse can both resolve or aggravate the situation. So that is something to look out for. The sun is with Saturn on the eclipse time. So the people in power, there is some karma. Remember I said that everybody some karma to face. Something that is maybe obstacle that we have to deal with. But it's not visible in the rest of the world. So we just have to be conscious of the eclipse days and to keep the day simple. Sometimes you see natural phenomena, earthquakes, tsunamis, just disturbed energy taking place around that time. But there is no way to predict that. At least I'm not an expert in that, so I don't try to predict those situations. But if you are a person in power with the Sun-Saturn combination, I think you feel very insecure. So it's best to not try to cut corners around that time, to be truthful, to be straightforward, and as I said, to keep the days simple. That is the important factor. The next eclipse is taking place in Gemini. It is with new moon in Gemini. It's 2nd of July. And this eclipse, of course, if you're Gemini ascendant, it's about 16 degrees of Gemini. And so if you have a birthday near 2nd of July, if you have planets placed in Gemini, very close to the eclipse point, specifically ascendant or moon or sun, then that means that you are going through some change. And change may not be bad, but it's not going to be something that you planned. and it can also reveal something different about you. And Sagittarius, because Saturn, Ketu are opposing this eclipse, Sagittarius is also involved, and relationships for both Sagittarius and Gemini are subject to change. And again, as I said, because Saturn is so powerful, that we have to be conscious of our karma, what karma we are generating, and what is our past life responsibilities. Sometimes we don't know what they are, but we should still be conscious of them. And then this eclipse is actually visible in Asia. I've got it written here. South America. This eclipse is visible, the 2nd of July eclipse is visible in South America and Chile and Argentina. So those two countries is a full eclipse. That means it's not a partial eclipse. And so Chile and Argentina, where it goes through, then those two countries can get affected by it. But area around that, because that's the zone. And just watch for the natural phenomena, any kind of natural phenomena that can take place: earthquakes, tsunamis, disturbed weather patterns, sudden shift of energy. And of course, it is 2nd of July is very close to USA's birthday, or 4th of July. So you will see some issues regarding USA as a country, some changes taking place there, something that we have to deal with and change and transform. It is important because it is the closest the eclipse will be there. It's 2 degrees away from the USA sun. And then the last eclipse, which is on 26th of December. This is the last eclipse of 2019, the solar eclipse. This is going to be visible. It's going to start with the Middle East, sort of tip of Africa, go through South India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Malaysia, the south part of Asia, and ends towards north of Australia. So it's quite a big energy, and it is also connected to, again, Ketu, Saturn are still there. And this eclipse is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius have been going through a lot of change and transformation, and sun will be about 9 degrees of Sagittarius on the eclipse day. And therefore, this can bring some change, transformation, and opposite Sagittarius in Gemini as well. But this is the December eclipse, is a Sagittarius eclipse. And again, remember to take those 2 days simple and be careful around that time. And the countries where it is visible, like say it's visible in India, but it's not really going through Delhi. The area it is visible, so South India, Sri Lanka, maybe some political unrest, same with South India. It's right at the tip, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, those are the countries that will see the full eclipse. The partial eclipse is visible a little longer. Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, big cities that it is going through. So one needs to be careful and to take things easy. The time of eclipse is always time to do spiritual things. In the sages, they used to go and bathe in the waters and purify themselves during the eclipses, and generally do prayer and chanting and simple life at that time, sometimes fast during the eclipse. So if the eclipse is visible where you are, then it's more important, but don't ignore even if it's not visible. And I know that my eclipse days, I keep them in my diary, and then on those days I'm just taking easy. It's a good idea not to get married at an eclipse time, not start a new business, do anything auspicious during that time. The reason is this, that the energy is disturbed. Rahu Ketu are powerful, they are visible, so the negativity can easily get out of control. So that is why we are being careful. And so I am going to make a separate one for the lunar eclipses as well. But the other thing about the solar eclipse is that the degree of the solar eclipse remains strong for many months, many years. So that degree, 16 degrees of Gemini and then 9 degrees of Sagittarius, those two are sensitive degrees. So if any planet crosses over it, there can be some unexpected event taking place. So thank you very much. Again, I shall be doing one on lunar eclipses too. Do visit my website komilla.com, sign up for my newsletter, and leave comments and suggestions. And thank you again for appreciating all the work I'm doing, and it's very important for me that I am connecting with you, and all the best. And this New Year's does start with a bit of a drama, so be conscious of it and balance your life accordingly.